The diplomatic vessel Harmony's edge hummed with the low thrum of its quantum drives as it docked at the Galactic Council's primary station. Inside the human quarters, Commander Jake Morrison scratched behind the ears of his companion, a 70-pound bundle of tan and black fur currently sprawled across his bunk like it owned the place. "Come on, Rex," Jake said, clipping a lead to the dog's collar. "Time to meet the neighbors." The German shepherd yawned, showing impressive teeth, then stretched lazily before hopping down. His tags jingled as he trotted beside Jake through the corridors. The reception hall buzzed with a dozen species, each more exotic than the last. The Vexorians stood on multiple legs, their crystalline bodies refracting light in dizzying patterns. The Thrumians floated, their gelatinous forms pulsing with bioluminescence. And the Kresh, predatory reptilians who'd only recently joined the council, watched everything with calculating amber eyes. Jake entered with Rex at his heel. The room fell silent. Ambassador Kresh, the Kresh delegation leader, was the first to break the quiet. A series of clicking sounds emerged from his translator. "Commander Morrison. We understood humans were an intelligent species. Yet you bring livestock." Ripples of amusement passed through the chamber. The Vexorians chimed with what could only be laughter. Even the typically diplomatic Thrumians pulsed with colors that suggested mirth. "This is Rex," Jake said evenly. "He's not livestock. He's my partner." "Partner?" Tkresha's forked tongue flicked out. "That creature is clearly a prey animal. Blunt teeth, soft hide, domesticated demeanor. On my world, we would hunt such beasts for sport." Rex sat obediently, tongue lolling out, utterly unconcerned with the various aliens studying him like a specimen. "He's a dog," Jake explained. "Humans and dogs have evolved alongside each other for over 30,000 years. They're loyal, intelligent, and incredibly capable." "Capable of what?" asked Vextril, the Vexorian chief scientist. "Eating from your hand. Rolling over." More laughter. Jake felt his jaw tighten, but he kept his expression neutral. "You'd be surprised." The tour of the station continued with Rex becoming an object of fascination and mockery in equal measure. Aliens wanted holopics with the primitive pet. Some offered Jake credits to make Rex perform tricks. The Kresh delegation found the whole thing endlessly entertaining. "Your species conquered the stars," Kresh said during the formal dinner, "yet you cling to these vestigial companions. The Kresh abandoned such weakness millennia ago. We perfected ourselves. We need no other species." Jake was about to respond when the station's alarms shrieked to life. The room erupted into chaos. Even the mighty Kresh scrambled for the exits. Jake had read about Silkfangs in the briefing materials. Apex predators from the outer rim, they were eight-legged nightmares with razor-sharp hair that could slice through most materials. They hunted by smell and could track prey for days. One had somehow gotten into the cargo bay. "This way!" Tkresh shouted, pushing past Jake. But Jake noticed something. A small Thrumian researcher, barely an adolescent by their species standards, had been left behind in the panic. They pulsed with fear colors, frozen against the far wall. And between them and the exit, a shadow moved in the corridor. The Silkfang emerged. It was the size of a grizzly bear, covered in hair that shimmered like fiber optics, each strand a blade. Its multiple eyes fixed on the young Thrumian. It made a sound like wind through a graveyard. Jake's hand went to his sidearm, but he knew projectile weapons were useless against a Silkfang's hide. The creature took a step forward. Then Rex growled. It wasn't the playful sound from earlier. This was something primal, something that carried 30,000 years of partnership with humanity's most dangerous predator, a sound that echoed from caves and campsites and battlefields across human history. The Silkfang turned. Rex's hackles were raised, making him look twice his size. His lips pulled back, revealing teeth that suddenly didn't look so blunt. His eyes, warm and friendly moments ago, had become cold and calculating. "Rex, no," Jake started. But Rex was already moving. The dog was a blur of tan and black. The Silkfang lunged, its razor hair slicing through the air. Rex dodged with impossible agility, his body coiling and releasing like a spring. His jaws found the creature's throat, just above where the razor hair couldn't reach its own body. The Silkfang shrieked, trying to dislodge him. Its limbs slashed and cut. Rex held on, growling through clenched teeth, shaking his head with the same motion his ancestors had used to break the necks of prey for millennia. Jake raised his weapon, looking for a shot, but the two creatures were moving too fast, a whirlwind of fur and blades. Then, suddenly, it was over. The Silkfang collapsed. Rex released his grip, breathing hard, blood on his muzzle. He had several cuts across his body, but nothing deep. The creature that had terrorized a dozen species lay dead at his feet. Rex looked at the young Thrumian, who pulsed with grateful colors. Then he looked at Jake, tongue lolling out again, tail beginning to wag. He walked back to his human, sat down, and leaned against Jake's leg. By the time station security arrived with heavy weapons, Rex was lying at Jake's feet, already half asleep, occasionally licking at his minor wounds. The aliens emerged from their safe zones. They stared at the dead Silkfang, then at the Kresh approached slowly, his amber eyes wide. "I apologize, Commander. I did not understand." "That's all right," Jake said, kneeling to pet Rex, who had fully dozed off. "Most people don't get it at first. See, humans didn't conquer Earth because we were the strongest or fastest. We survived because we made alliances. And we chose our allies very, very well." Vextril's crystalline form refracted the light nervously. "How did it know to protect the Thrumian?" "Because I would have," Jake said simply. "And he's been watching me his whole life. Dogs don't just learn commands. They learn us. Our values, our instincts, our courage. 30,000 years ago, our ancestors looked at a wolf and saw not prey or predator, but a partner. And together, we became something greater than either species alone." He looked around the room at the assembled aliens. "You asked why we keep dogs. Because they remind us of who we are. Because loyalty isn't weakness. Because the bonds we forge make us stronger, not weaker. Because humans don't conquer alone, we've never conquered